Good evening, men. Tonight I want to talk about the mind. How do we overcome negative mental chatter? Ryan from Wild Man Modern World. And what does negative mental chatter look like? It looks like planning what we're going to say if we're approaching a woman. It looks like rehearsing what I did say and revisiting it and going, oh fuck, I could have said that. It means like this self-study and neurotic study of how we could have been better. Negative mental chatter, or that like poor use of the mind, is when we go through a breakup and then it's all that crazy shit like, yeah, they were doing this and this and this, and creating this fabricated story in our own heads about someone else, about their truth, like we know what the truth is compared to them, thinking we have it right. An untamed mind is that like constant need for rightness, that consumption of information so we can be right in every moment, and then we'll feel useful. Another version of the mind is just that non-stop chatter when the mind just doesn't stop. It's like, hey, have you done the shopping? Hey, what about this? Hey, have you doing that? It's like that baby kelpie. Yep. It's like, yeah, fuck that. That's not how the mind is supposed to work. It's not how we're meant to use our mind. And the mind, like any other part of the body, it takes training. One thing I want to flag right now, should have said at the start, is people go, oh, I'm struggling with my mind. It's like, yeah, your mind, my mind. Like, who else is going to change it? It's up to us. We need to take ownership over this part of the body we've kind of outsourced to the world. It's actually all happening within us. So when I'm having negative mental stories, when I'm having that negative self-talk, when I'm having hectic judgment and comparison with other men, it's like, okay, what am I going to do about this? Instead of going, this, it's like we're at the whim of it. It's like, no, we're also making that, like, we're kind of like we're the victim, or we're also the abuser. We're the abuser and the abusee. It's our mind treating us like shit. You heard that saying? It's like, you wouldn't speak to anyone the way our mind speaks to ourselves, but both are ours. So let's take ownership of that. Let's step into that. How do we start to train that? It's a practice like anything else. The mind doesn't run. It's like, if I gave you an organ, if I gave you a practice, said, hey, this practice switches off your liver. Do you want that? You'd be like, no fucking way, I'm going to die. It's like, yeah, damn straight. So if I said, hey, I've got a practice that switches off your mind, do you want that? It's like, a lot of people are like, yeah. It's like, no, that means you're dead. It's like, no mind means actually like useful application of the mind. And that takes training. The liver has developed its capacity over years of us growing. We eat certain things, we take certain tonics, and that tones the liver. We need to do the same for the mind. A great Graham Peter, this epic prophet of Christianity, someone comes up to him and says, Graham, I'm having trouble with me mind. I'm having trouble with me thoughts. And he said, well, have another one. And I totally support that. So imagine it like energy. When the energy is flowing in a certain direction, when the energy is moving in a certain way, what are you going to do about it? Energy flowing in a certain direction, what I mean by that is a constant self-talk and negative criticism, self-judgment, judgment of others, comparison, creating stories, fabrication of fucking bullshit truths about other people. That is an energetic habit in the mind. That's just energy swirling in a certain way. Pattern interrupt. What are you going to do? The practice is, when you notice it, redirect the energy, move it in another way. When you start to notice these things come up, for me, when I noticed when I'd go up, approach a woman, and then afterwards I'd be constantly assessing what I'd said and what I could have said and how I could have said it better, straight into pattern interrupt. Oh, I'm doing that thing. Redirect the energy into a mantra, into a saying, into a focus, into a something. Come into the moment. It's a super simple practice, fellas, and that's, I think, why it often gets overlooked and missed. But if you want a healthy, happy mind state, meditate, breath work, and then moment to moment monitoring. Mindfulness is actually like weeding a garden. Mindfulness is the tedious job of weeding the mind. And when we do that, then we start to get a clear garden, and we can actually start to plant the seeds that we want to grow. But the first job is awareness. What are you creating these loops that are keeping you in this imagined prison of self-suffering? And how do you start to push those bars away? There's nothing holding them up except ourselves, except our own mental state that we are creating and then we are suffering from. So what kind of mental state do you want to create? If you need help creating a healthier mental state, hit me up, ask me, I can share. We can do a session. I can tell you what mantras are really effective for mental states. What is that you need to redirect energy to? You can figure this out all on your own. If you need help, reach out. Blessings.